Joining us at the table, member of the Senate Judiciary Committee and California Democrat Senator Alex Padilla. Senator, thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning.
Okay, you heard what they said, the short-term pain, long-term gain. I think everyone at this table believes that the American people have been dealing with long-term pain for a while. The pain is not short-term.
Right.
This White House, this administration is essentially asking regular people to eat the cost of a war.
An unauthorized war.
Okay, well, you said it. That seems to mostly benefit what he thinks is his legacy. What do you make of that, Matt?
Yeah, well, first of all, like you said, they're making good on the first part of that, the short-term pain. The pain for sure. The short-term, who knows? When asked what's his timetable for quote-unquote mission accomplished, they don't have one. They don't have a plan, just like they didn't have a justification for initiating this military action to begin with. And when asked just yesterday or the day before, it was, well, I'll feel it in my bones.
His bones,
His
yes.
bone spurs.
Well, you added the spurs.
And so it just, again, speaks to the lack of justification, a lack of planning, and lack of regard for how this is impacting working families.
Do you think he cares?
Well, he's rich enough to not care because he doesn't feel it, and his buddies don't feel it. We care, which is why we've been trying to address this. And let's point out the immediate pressure point for folks is when you're at the gasoline station putting gas in the car, because when prices are up significantly in a short amount of time, you can't not put gas in your car if you got to get to work, get your kids to school, etc. But the indirect costs that you began pointing out, it's not just the fertilizer and what that means for food down the road. Look at diesel prices. We don't put diesel in our car, but truckers do. Truckers that are delivering that food to the grocery store, truckers that are delivering clothes to retailers and everything else we buy. As transportation costs go up, retailers are going to have no choice but to pass some of that along to consumers. And so, once again, working families are paying the price for Trump's unauthorized war.
Well, we should put element 4 up on the screen so people can see with their own eyes just how much gas prices have risen in just the last week. You see it there. A week ago, $3.41. Current $3.67. That's a huge jump. But Senator, let's talk about the Strait of Hormuz, because you and I both looked at each other when Eugene was reading the part of the intro where it talked about that the administration didn't anticipate that Iran would actually do anything with the Strait of Hormuz, because they believe that closing and doing that would hurt Iran and not the U.S. or anyone else. I'm sorry. I'm not a member of the military. I'm not on an intelligence committee. I'm nowhere near any of this stuff. And even I know that if the Strait of Hormuz is closed, it hurts the global economy.
That's like Middle East politics 101.
101.1. I mean, it's
right.
so basic.
And so, look, just a couple of comments on the foreign policy of this, and then one political observation. Number one, for all the concern about the people of Iran, look, that the regime and the leader that was killed, not good people. We know the people of Iran have been repressed for such a long time. But here we are weeks later. What's really changed for them? Look, just like the people of Venezuela, right? Trump went in, Maduro's now in United soil, but what's improved for in the life of the people of Venezuela? So again, you take this action, you shoot from the hip, but what's the plan for the next day? That wasn't well thought out. Number two, who's been the big winner here? Vladimir Putin and Russia. Look, Putin attacks Iran, they're helping Iran and playing Donald Trump like a fiddle. And the American people are paying the price. Now, politically, here's the context. He's trying to distract. That's why this attention on the SAVE Act, by the way, from the prior segment. The Trump Republican majority record has not just been unpopular, it's been so harmful to our country, harmful to families across the country. Their only hope of holding on to power this November is to try to change the rules of the election this November. We can talk about voter ID. It's not a voter ID bill, it's a voter suppression bill. But most people aren't paying attention to the private voter information element of that bill. You want to give all your personal information, you want to give all that data to the Trump administration, to DHS, to do with what they will. That's what they're going after, to undermine not just the elections, but then how they're going to use that data. How are they going to use that data?
And Senator, just to stick with the issue of rising gas prices, we are now seeing this administration use the first wartime pretext to break the law, and that is by now announcing that they're going to start drilling again along the California coast. What's your response to this? And are you worried that this pretext is going to lead to other areas where, I don't know, either potentially voting rights, other areas where Trump is prone to cross red lines, and that there's going to be some sort of mission creep here?
Yeah, look, I don't put anything past this administration, right, and try in their desperate attempt to hold on to power. The drilling off the coast of California, not without a fight. You know, state law and our control of state waters is very, very clear. And the company that Trump is supposedly ordering to, start their drilling off the coast of California again, they're so out of compliance on other issues. This isn't going to begin today or tomorrow. And again, not without a legal fight.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
No, just on the mission creep, and you brought up, voting again. So this coming week, I'm taking to the floor, leading my colleagues to make sure that we oppose any sort of parliamentary trick they may try to get the SAVE Act passed. We're not going to let it get past the Senate. If we're successful in doing so, look, I fully expect Donald Trump to turn around and try to do what the SAVE Act is trying to do via executive order. He's tried it once. We've blocked it in the courts, but he can try again. There has also been chatter recently of him declaring a fake national emergency when it comes to our democracy.
Right.
And so therefore the feds are going to take over our elections? No, I don't think so. Not without a fight.
And the Constitution has a lot to say about that. I want to get to something that one of your colleagues said. He's a Republican, so not a direct colleague, about people in poverty, and get your reaction on the other side.
Democrats are using the safety and security of Americans.
Our policies have brought gas prices way down, and now at $2.37 a gallon. Right here in Corpus Christi, the price of gasoline is down to just less than, actually, now $2.30. I was in Iowa last week, and it was $1.85 a gallon, and in some places, $1.99 a gallon.
Now, let's play E7. This is Senator John Husted. Let's play that.
And people living in poverty are just not very, they're not very experienced at navigating the real world, right? I remember talking to one young lady who said, well, I don't really know how money works at a grocery store, because she grew up and has lived all of her adult life using SNAP cards to buy groceries. And so you literally have to teach people how to budget. If this the buzzword today, let's face it, it's affordability, right?
These people.
Are Republicans hostile to poor people and people who experience poverty?
Well, I mean, if you look at the policy record over the years, and especially now, it sure seems like it, but talk like that's pretty freaking offensive.
Yeah.
As you know, I grew up pretty working class. My folks were immigrants from Mexico. My dad worked as a short order cook, right? He scrambled eggs and flipped pancakes for 40 years. And my mom cleaned houses. So, we weren't poor, but there was times when we struggled, for sure. That actually is the reality for a lot of Americans. And that teaches you more about life and how to navigate, right? How to be resourceful. How to figure out how to make ends meet. That builds resilience, actually. The policies of the United States of America should help people try to get ahead, try to advance, try to achieve their American dream. Working class folks deserve better wages so they can work full time and support a family, be able to afford a home. That's why Senate, on a bipartisan basis, as a matter of fact, just put out the Road to Housing Act.
The president said, who that cares about housing? So there's
Right.
that.
So we're trying to address housing costs, and the president says he doesn't give a whatever. His priority is the SAVE Act, right? Back to politics and back to trying to cling to power. No, I think if you really want to learn something about the people we represent, the country we represent, the struggle and what our priorities should be, yeah, let's go talk to some poor people around the country.
Right. There's nobody who knows clearly what it means to live in the real world is someone who is living paycheck to paycheck or even less than that. One more thing before we have to go, Senator. Hard to believe that we are, a month into a partial government shutdown at the Department of Homeland Security. Are there any negotiations, any talks? Have you heard anything, any chatter at all about a resolution to this?
Well, I'll tell you what we have proposed most recently, right? Not just the negotiations about the reforms that are absolutely necessary for ICE, for CBP, for other federal agents that are doing immigration enforcement, but knowing that there's concern about TSA, for example. Democrats have put forward bills to say, let's go ahead and fund TSA for the rest of the year, but not ICE and CBP until we achieve these reforms. Republicans have blocked that. We've put forward bills to say, let's go ahead and fund the Coast Guard for the rest of the year while we negotiate these reforms for ICE and CBP. Republicans have blocked that. We've put forward bills that say, let's fund CISA, our cybersecurity agency. Let's go ahead and fund FEMA, because we know it's only a matter of time before there's another natural disaster. Republicans keep blocking that. They'd rather maintain this partial government shutdown than work with us to put in place the common law enforcement reforms for ICE and CBP.
Senator Alex Padilla of the great state of California, thank you for being here on set and for coming back to the weekend.
Good morning. Good to see you again.